Hello everyone, Chag Sameach, happy Purim. We have Purim this weekend, which is the holiday that happens in the month of Adar. Astrologically, we can associate all of the signs with a particular month of the Hebrew calendar. And they're not perfectly aligned because the Hebrew calendar is solar and lunar. It's a solar-lunar calendar, and so the particular Hebrew months sometimes don't always align with the tropical zodiac, but they are archetypally associated with each other. So the month of Adar is connected to Purim. And Purim, Adar, is all about joy. It's all about dissolving our separation, our boundaries. There's a teaching that when Adar comes, you are marvin b'simcha, that you are rejoicing in total happiness. And the theme of Purim is, well, there's a teaching in Purim that you should not know the difference between the protagonist and the antagonist of the Purim story, right? The good guy and the bad guy, Haman and Mordechai. And there's something so profound about that for the mind, for the judgments, for the constructs to really be so dissolved. So we're looking at life and we're not saying, oh, yes, here are these boxes that I've already decided exist. It's actually not so natural to love, to look with that reality, to look with those eyes. In the story of Purim, it's the kind of thing you'd want to see. It's like in the end of the story, the bad guy gets his demise and his sons, and the good people win. And it's a big celebration for the Jewish people. And yet we have this teaching to not know the difference between the good and the bad. Traditionally, on the day of Purim, there's a practice where you either just get really drunk or high, so that your concept of reality is totally lost. It's the one time of year where it's actually a thing to get totally wasted. And I have memories of that growing up. One of my rebbeim once, I think I was in elementary school, took me to a more orthodox, more religious than my own upbringing or than my own schooling environment, where it was a big auditorium full of young men that were all drunk and all singing and dancing. And there's something that I never really appreciated about sort of the recklessness and the unconsciousness and sort of the aggressive energy that comes with that kind of scene, in that way of being and just getting totally wasted. But there's a quality, and it smelled too, I remember that, but there's a quality to just the energy, the sort of the deeper spirit of this practice that I feel maybe is a little bit lost. But what's underneath it is this time where it's about giving our attention to what is fundamentally true, and for a moment not living in these rigid time-space constructs and judgments and definitions and decisions and rules and ideas that are so certain and determined, that we're so sure of. There's a teaching in the story of, the story of Purim is full of mystical teachings. There's the Peshat, the level, superficial level interpretation of the story. Then there's like the deeper teachings, the sod, the secrets inherent in the story. And one of the protagonists of the story is Queen Esther. And a big part of the story is where she's hidden. She hides. She pretends to be something that she's not. And oftentimes there is a hidden purpose that's not revealed to everyone, meaning there's a process, there's a greater plan unfolding that Esther is playing a part of, that Achashverosh is playing a part of, that Mordechai is playing a part of, for a plan of salvation and healing and rejoicing and savior and being saved. It's not revealed because things might seem really bad for a moment. There's a thread of things not seeming to be what as they actually are. A greater plan underneath the scene. And spiritually, we can say, underneath all of our perceptions about life, there's a hidden plan. This plan is a plan of oneness. This is sort of the inherent principle, the unifying impulse of oneness itself that is planning, quote unquote, but not in the way that we think of planning. It's built into the program of life for it to return to itself, for itself to be revealed unto itself, for something inherently beautiful and unifying and true to ultimately be completely revealed to all. And the idea of the Esther means hidden, or Esther, I will hide. So the idea of hidden is a very powerful concept in Judaism, in the deeper mystical practice, and in Pisces, that's what it's all about. Hidden means it's still there. You just can't see it. There's no concept in reality of something not being there. Nothing isn't there. There's nothing that isn't real. Like, not real doesn't exist. So we could have real, and we can have what's hidden. And what's hidden is still there, but it just relates to perception. What is real cannot be hidden from ultimate perception, from ultimate seeing, from the ultimate eye. Thus, what's real is always inside. It's always right there, here, right now. What's hidden must be just concealed relative to the nature of our own consciousness. And we live in that way. We see life, and we might see a part of the story, a part of the greater plan, a part of the greater unfolding. And this is where we're asked to be happy, we're asked to be in joy, we're asked to cultivate this. And from the point of view of Purim, from the point of view of Pisces, this joy that we're asked to cultivate is not some sort of delusional joy or joy based on a condition, or I have faith that one day the Messiah will come, or I have faith that one day things will get better. It's even deeper than that. It's a joy that roots in a trust in what is right now inherently true. And thus a safety, a peacefulness, a forgiveness, a news, a knowing, a truth that is actually available and true right now that we can draw upon, that we have the opportunity to get to know, to realize a fundamental truth, because what is true is always true. And so all perceptions of problems, all the things that seem big or small, the scale of big problems, the scale of small problems manifests very relatively in our mind. There are two teachings in A Course in Miracles that I just so appreciate. There's this one teaching that says we think that there are some problems that are bigger than others, that we can ask for help, ask the source to solve these problems. But others we think are so real, so big, that we think we need to figure them out. So we kind of keep them inside, we keep them secret, we keep them private, we don't reveal them. There's a teaching, let me recognize the problem so that it may be solved. And let me recognize the problem. Doggy. Yeah. And let me recognize the problem is solved. Because when we recognize the problem, once we've identified it, just in virtue of recognizing, okay, here's where I perceive a problem. We've caught it, we've identified it. Simultaneous to that, it means there is a solution to that problem, not in the working it out, not in operating on the level of mind that sees the problem, but rather in just recognizing I must be operating on a particular level of mind because of the fact of my perception. It means it inherently points to there's another way of thinking. The moment we recognize our perceptions, we're also acknowledging the level of our current present moment thinking, which immediately implies there's another way. And I want to know that way. I want to know that way. And there's deep peace in recognizing, oh, there's an answer here. There's another way to see. And I think that's the joy that we are asked to cultivate. And it's not a faking it. It's actually coming into, oh, there is suffering in my mind because I am not seeing truly. I don't see the truth. And this other teaching in A Course in Miracles is from the course, from the teacher's manual, where it's speaking about our daily practice, some suggestions and guidance for our practice throughout the day. And the teaching said something like, throughout the day, think of God. Be joyful, knowing the truth, thinking of the truth, thinking of your oneness, thinking of what is inherently true. And knowing that you are always being protected, you are always being guided. And there's a suggestion to have confidence in that, have confidence in your safety, have certainty in that. There's something very powerful within Pisces where it's in our confidence, in our certainty of being protected, of being guided, of the greatest interest for all, being at the forefront. Another doggy. That actually makes us available to it. right? It's having faith in the fact of our oneness, of our guidance. It's like a parent that only wants the best interest for their children. Not a, I hope this is true. Not a, please make this true. Help me, but an actual giving of our minds over to the fact of it being true. And that's what makes it available. That's sort of the paradox in the Pisces archetype. Wherever we orient to the truth is where it becomes available. Not because it wasn't available, but because of our investment in it not being so, hides it from our minds. What is hidden isn't hidden, it's in our minds. Our minds are either open or not. Yeah, I really want to tune in more deeply to the idea of recognizing the problem so that it may be solved. It's so powerful. Most of the time we're operating on this level where we're just circulating, we're just sort of swimming in our problems, holding on to our grievances and our fears, maybe wanting it to end, trying to work it out, working out our own salvation, working out our own peace in our minds. There's something really deep and peaceful in just being able to recognize the existence of disrest, the existence of problem, that energy itself within us, and not allowing ourselves to, or not needing to go further than that, not needing to try to solve it on that level of disrest. And this is where Pisces to me is really about inspiration and all the different ways in which we bring our attention beyond the seeming immediacy and realness of the illusory world that we're just often invested in, the mundanity of this world, and song and art and poetry and dance, and just connecting to, in whatever ways we do, to the transcendence, to the truths that are always here, transcendent of any circumstance. It's always available. That's of course why getting drunk or high or working with different medicinal substances is a part of the Pisces practice. But of course, what it really points to is what's always true, what's always available. Pisces corresponds to all of those things as much as Pisces speaks to prayer and inspiration and meditation. Anything that brings our attention into a place of oneness and wholeness, service, giving ourselves to unconditional love, indiscriminate of anything. So maybe I'll close with a little song in celebration of this. I sing for the sake of this moment. I sing for the sake of my peace. I sing for the sake of this healing. I sing for I'm living in ease. Living in this moment, living in this moment alone. All one, yeah. Living in this moment, living in this moment alone. All one, yeah. I sing for I want to remember this moment. I know all is well. I sing for I care to surrender that love is an infinite well. Living in this moment, living in this moment alone. All one, all one. Chag Sameach, much love and joy to all.